Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to my DraftKings DFS Slate preview. Today on the agenda, we have a slightly staggered two-game slate, half an hour gap between the first and second games. Man United, the biggest favorites at minus 300, Brighton, second biggest at minus 100. So both games with minus odds. And yeah, a pretty simple slate here. Just two games, and we're gonna have a little bit less time to build because of that staggering as well. In terms of projected lineups and set pieces, this would be borderline worst case scenario if they rock this. If Ericsson is in with Bruno, it just makes our sets just so messy. We've kind of seen Bruno go back to a true monopoly lately, which I love to see. But with Ericsson in, I think there's zero chance of that being the case. They'll probably both end up taking like they usually do. Ericsson actually ends up taking a little bit more than Bruno typically, but he just gets subbed early, so Bruno ends up with a larger set share at some point anyway, since he's a 90 guy. He gets like all the second half corners to himself, basically, since Ericsson usually doesn't make it past 60. And then for Southampton in this team, it should mostly be Manning. There's a chance that Fernandez splits, but Manning was taking both sides in the FA Cup against Swansea. Granted, it's like a smaller sample size, only had like three corners, and only one of them was an outswinger, which is Manning's usually side as a right-footed player. But I think they'll likely have some form of split there. I don't know how even it'll be, but that's what they should do. And if Manning doesn't start, which he has not been typically in the Premier League, it should be Fernandez and Dibbling splitting. So yeah, a couple of things to keep eye on, whether Manning plays, whether Ericsson plays, and that shuffles a lot of stuff. Ipswich and Brighton. For Ipswich, it should mostly be Leif Davis. There's a chance that Broadhead splits a little bit. There's a chance that Schmodic splits a little bit if he starts. Jack Clark, too, another guy who could potentially take a little bit if he is in. I guess Schmodic is doubtful, so we'll see if he probably won't play. But they typically have been doing a lefty righty split these days, although they just have not had many corners, to be fair to them. And then for Brighton, they're just a mess for sets usually. On a good day, this lineup is not a good day lineup. I expect it to be an Ayari and O'Reilly split, I want to say. Gruda could take, though. Estupinian could take. Ayari's kind of the safest option because he's kind of their only right-footed option. And you've got like Garuda, O'Reilly, Estupinian is all lefties, so they all kind of vie for the other side that Ayari doesn't have. So it's just a bit of a mess there. Yeah, like I said, O'Reilly most likely. Now I'm going into pricing here, and this might be the worst priced slate I've ever seen. There is absolutely zero mid range. Everyone's either 10K or like four, especially in midfield. Like there's like a 2K. There's literally 7K players. There's a 2K gap between like the 6Ks and the 8Ks with nobody in between. And a lot of these guys are probably not going to play. So we might see it where there's like a bunch of 3K guys playing, and then everyone else is above like 9K. That's how bad this could potentially be. It's just super ugly. I don't know what they were thinking. And then you look at the guys who have been priced up to make it like this, like Xerxes. He's been like 5K, 4 to 5K, 3K sometimes every single slate. Then suddenly, we'll come here. He's double that. 10,200. It's not like his performances have been warranting a price up. He hasn't got a goal contribution in 2 months. Like, I just don't understand what they're doing. Like, they're just doing it clearly off of odds, basically. But then when you look at defenders, you've got like Lissandro Martinez, 5,800. And then, like, your fullbacks were typically more higher priced. Mazraoui, 2,900. Velocity isn't projected 3,100. Like I just don't get what they're doing. It's like they're just horrible all across the board. But let's just go position by position, and I'll try not to lose my head. Diallo 11K. He's probably the safest forward on the slate. Pedro questionable, probably won't start. Wasn't in projected. Rashford probably won't play. Just has not even been in the squad. Garnacho probably won't play. Has been looking in. Play well against Arsenal though, so there's an outside chance that he ends up getting a start off of that. So we'll see. Diallo is probably the best forward option in cash, though. And other guys like forward has a little bit more balance than mid and defender in terms of pricing. Like there's like Delap, Broadhead, Welbeck, a little bit more of a mid range here. I'd love a Reuter start at 4,400. That'd be nice. Same with like a Jack Clark would be nice at 4K. But yeah, like I said, it's mostly just expensive and super cheap across the board here. Then like yeah, Xerxes and Hoyland, I just don't love for that much. Like that is just insane and criminal that they've been priced up to this extent. Like these 4, 5, 6K guys, 10, 11s. It's so bad. Midfielders, Bruno, you just play anyway, even with Eriksson potentially starting. He's finally kind of picked up a little bit of form, played well against Liverpool, was great against Arsenal, got that goal in the FA Cup. But if you just play Bruno here, even if he's at 10,800, this is probably fairly priced for him, despite how egregious some of the pricing is here. Then you got like Solly March, 2,300. Ridiculous. Probably won't play. He was 4K last, or what was he, 8K? Right, that's kind of crazy too. But then Matt O'Reilly, this is a huge bump here. 5, 6, 7K, 3Ks at times. Now he's 10K off of a 2-point game against Arsenal where he played a half. It's just absolutely ridiculous. 4K he was, or 5K he was against Aston Villa, 4 points. Like, there's just no reason that he should be bumped this much. And Cesar's played well. I understand the price bump there a little bit. He gets a quite pretty decent floor. But once again, another guy is 4K, now 10. Or yeah, 10K. Like Eriksson. I guarantee you he's not been close to this much all season. Yep, 5, 6K guy, suddenly 10K. I just don't get what they're doing. Baleba, how is Baleba 9,600? This is a sitting defensive midfielder. He's not done anything really that has warranted this price up. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. He's not like a player that should be like his position should never be that much a setless defensive midfielder. Thomas probably fairly priced 8,800. I don't have complaints with that. But the fact that he's 1K cheaper than Baleba is just absolutely wild. I just don't know what they're doing. Ayari, he's been a 5K guy like the entire season. He just hovered between 4 and 5K pretty much, other than when he was 3K before kind of anyone knew he was taking, it looks like. But then yeah, now 8K. Like it's just so poorly done. It's not like it's super high across the board. Because then you got like Mete Spring is 5K fair. That's a fairly priced piece right there. Then Dibbling 3K, he's been like that. I have no arguments with that. But like Ugarte, he's been super expensive at times. Like he was 7K and now he's 3K. Manu 3K, fair. But like no mid range, like I said, literally Fernandez is probably going to be the entire midfield mid range. Just so poorly done. But yeah, the guys I'm thinking about Bruno, Fernandez, I don't mind. I can't play O'Reilly for that much. Eriksson, I don't think I'd go either. But then like the you got to go back down now because of the pricing here. Gruda, I'd play Gruda for 3,100. Even if O'Reilly plays and he's less likely to take, that's a 3K attacker when his alternatives are 3 times his price. So yeah, give me Gruda for that price. Give me Mainu or Ugarte even. I'd be fine with his Man United exposure for 3K. Once again, like this is cheap exposure to them when the alternatives are triple the price. There's no in between there. Defenders, similarly, it's going to be wildly priced. Estupiñán, fair, most expensive defender. He's been pretty solid. Like, I get that. I have no complaints there. He's in play. Like, it just depends how many 3K punts you want to go. So there are quite a bit because of this weird pricing. He's signed for 5,800. I'm not interested in the slightest. I will have 0 shares, GBP cash. I'm staying far away from that. Lamptey, I don't love. Leaf Davis, if it was beginning of the season, I'd be all over 5K Leaf Davis. But right now, you kind of stay away from him. He just has not been getting there in floor, considering that he's been largely been splitting. Brighton's a possession team. I just don't think Leaf Davis is worth it 5K in cash, particularly, just because we're going to get to like these 3K alternatives you're going to have instead. And GBP, I'll still have a share just because at worst he's a third team option. I might even end up on him in cash, just depending on lineups, but like he's not a block like he would be in the past. He's in play. I just don't love the pricing on him with the form. Then you got Manning, 3K. I love this. Not been playing, but when he's been in, he's been solid. I'm not particularly scared of Man United. I know they're pretty big favorites, but still, they're not going to really dominate the game like Man United has been in the past. they've been just not great this season. I'm happy to go to Manning, especially if he has a chance of monopoly, which he should as long as he's playing. Sugawara, I don't mind at 3,200. Then you got the main night wingbacks. Malacia, Mazraoui, 2,900, 3,100. These are why I'm pretty hesitant on Estupiñán and Leaf Davis. You can get like those. There's three defenders here for 3K that I like a lot. Man, you only can play so many slots. If I could go like one of those guys instead of one of these mid slots, it'd make life a lot easier. But you can't. So only can play so many, and because of that, it makes it harder to get to the pay ups when there's just these pretty decent bargains here. Because of that, I'm not really looking at a ton of other guys. Like I said, big three, I'm thinking of Manning, Malacia, Mazraoui, Leaf Davis, Estupiñán, potentially if I get there, is pay ups. Then everyone else is kind of, I think, will be super low owned at GPP. Go for it. But I'm picking from those pool of 4 or 5 guys in cash. Goalkeeper crapshoot as always. What day is today? Wednesday. When I'm recording this on this Wednesday slate, it was a Dubravka day. They had a goal. Wolves had a goal allowed in like the 90th minute, which was just a huge swing. So suddenly he goes from like he would have had like a 15 maybe a little bit less than that since he had a bunch of saves after that goal got disallowed too. But it's just super variance based. Had that goal happened, it would have changed the goalkeeper scores completely. But instead, Dubravka made 6 saves, clean sheet win, highest or most expensive goalkeeper on the slate, 24 points. You'd love that if you paid up. But if it's always it could, that kind of score can even come from the cheapest. And don't think too much about whoever you land on. Just pay or play whoever fits the rest of your build after playing game infielders and forwards. In terms of a core, Bruno Fernandes, Diallo, Manning. That's what I do in cash. I favor Manning slightly more than I favor the Man United wingbacks just because I think there's a little bit of a minutes concern there because they can move Diallo to wingback and bring on Garnacho potentially. Diallo is suspended at least, so at least there's no threat there. But still, they sometimes move Mazraoui to center back, potentially too when they bring on an attacker and move Diallo to wing back. So there's just a lot of factors there that can affect those Man United wing back scores, and they've just not been super reliable for points regardless when Manning has. That's the only reason I go him over those Man United wing backs. But yeah, guys, that's what I do for a core. Make sure to check out the FSI website and Discord if you want deeper information and cores closer to lock after we have lineups. But yeah, guys, that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.